So this is a new channel. My friends and family nuked my old one because they all subscribed and none of them watched the stock market. So it kind of stuck me into YouTube algorithm jail. The goal of my channel and my account is to move closer towards retirement. I plan on trading options on XPS until I can afford to move into SPY and trade options on SPY. With the long-term goal, my plan is to utilize MES futures to hedge against my SPY position. That'll be probably 3 years down the road. I will likely be able to afford to start moving into SPY in about a year. It's going to be a rough journey because I don't have any options trading experience. So I have about 4 years of stock trading experience. I've always been profitable. So far, I've been profitable in my trading with options, but I've been doing a lot of random stocks, trading options on random stocks effectively, like New Holdings, American Airlines. I had some other ones in there like ONDS, but I think that it's probably better to stick with something like XPS, because XPS tracks the S&P 500, and since it's already diversified, I don't have to worry about a lopsided risk of like a stock just gapping massively in one direction or another and just continuously moving that direction. The market, the broader market, like the S&P 500, tends to be pretty stable outside of anything, like outside of a crash, right? A crash, obviously, it's not stable at that point, but nothing is stable at that point. So, barring a market crash, I think XPS is probably going to be my safest underlying to trade options on until I can build the account balance that I need in order to move forward into SPY. My goal with my account is to deposit $500 each week. So far, I have not been meeting that. Here's a look at my past trades, or not my past trades, my past deposits. You can see that there's a few that I missed completely. Well, not a few, but one that I missed completely. And then I had a partial on the other one. This $600 was catching up. But so far, I'm more or less on track. I have about $700 worth of catching up to do. But that's fine. My current budget will allow me to catch up over the course of the next 10 weeks or so. Yeah, we'll see how this goes. You guys can follow along, and we will see if I'm still profitable a month from now. We'll see how that works out. My goal is $500 a week deposits and 1% weekly returns. Well, as you can see, I'm not hitting that yet. I was way ahead of target back on the 9th of January. And 3 weeks later, or 2 weeks later, I'm way behind. I went from having enough profits on the 9th of July to just not trade and still meet my target by now. But I kept trading, and they were not such good trades. I had an opportunity to close out a trade here. I didn't, which I regret. Had another opportunity here, which I also didn't, which I also regret. And then it was just a downhill slope from there. But that's what trading is like. It doesn't matter what your underlying is. You're going to have ups and downs in the market. And I'm not coming out here making a YouTube channel trying to offer advice or any of that. I'm just showing what I'm doing. And if you guys can get an idea from it, then good, great, fantastic. But at the end of the day, this channel is for me and to document my process so that I know where I've made mistakes and so that I can fix those mistakes. Because eventually I plan to retire with this money, and I'm never going to be able to get there if I don't know how to manage it. And I am not going to be paying some jackwagon in a suit to sit there and press a button with my money. Like, why would I do that? The only thing that those traders on Wall Street have is experience. They have time in the market. Well, that time in the market, you can get that. You can trade that. I wouldn't wait until you're ready to retire. I wouldn't start trying to learn when I already have 6 figures. I mean, at that point, you might as well just hand it off to somebody else and let them trade it. You know, your returns are going to be abysmal. You're going to have to keep working because you're not going to be able to live off of whatever they get. Chances are they're not even going to beat the market. And the reason they never beat the market isn't because they're bad at their job. It's because they're required to. They have all these rules and all these regulations that they have to abide by that artificially restrict profits. They have strict profit-taking rules, so they can't allow a winner to run. They have stop-loss limits that are very stringent. They have certain methods of hedging that cost money. You know, if you buy an options contract, that costs money, and if you never have to use the options contract, you never actually receive the benefit from that. You just take the loss. Well, I mean, you put 4 of those contracts per year. How many losses is that? You know, you're eating into your profits every time you hedge that way. And these guys that trade your money, it's not their money. Their only job is to make enough money that you keep your money with them and make enough money that at the end of the year or the end of the quarter, whenever the bonuses are doled out, they get a little piece of your pie. That's all they're after. I like to eat. I want my whole piece of pie. I don't want somebody else getting a piece of my pie, even if it's just 20%. I want that 20%. So I'm learning how to trade my own money now while I have a small account balance so that when I do hit 6 figures and God willing 7 figures, I know how to trade my money, and I have a breadth of knowledge that will allow me to hedge not just with diversification, because diversification will only help you if the market is stable. Diversification isn't a hedge. That is just a method of eliminating noise out of your profit and loss, right? Because if you have, you know, one stock going up, one stock going down, and they're kind of even on one going up and one going down, your P&L looks kind of flat. Well, that's better than watching it go down. But what happens when the market crashes? Everything goes down. So diversification is not a hedge. And that ties back into my strategy that I have, which is I'm only going to be trading on these bigger ETFs, you know, like SPY and QQQ. And that's the reason for it, is they have the diversification built in. I don't have to diversify because the ETF is diversified. So that's my strategy. That's what I'm sticking with. You guys can follow along. I hope you enjoy the ride. Like I said, I'm not out here to give advice. I'm not out here to teach you. I am here so that you can watch and see what I do, and you can learn from my mistakes. Like and subscribe if you want to follow along.